if you want to give it to me so that I'm not having to yell out to you.
If you wanted to
Oh, this looks like it's working.
hang that on your shirt, you might be able.
Okay.
It's on speaker.
Are you seeing it? Are you there? Yeah. I think we're live. We have a cat chewing the bars. Who is that?
This is Aries. Can always
Stop it, Aries.
because he's the one chewing on the bars.
So he's got to get his first before he does something to damage himself. Aries, look at this.
That's what you get. He's like a butt. I thought I was getting food. It's a cold day and I get a popsicle.
We're freezing here at 64 degrees.
What you got?
60 more. No sympathy from you, huh? Who's purring? Are you purring so loud? My goodness. Go ahead.
Are we ready for the other two yet?
Hang on just a second, Gail.
That's all you're getting, mister. Eat your sickle.
This is Areas Cougar, and he got his blood sickle just a second ago, but he's really hoping for something
Here.
a little more substantial because it's so cold here. It's
Here.
64 degrees.
No, that's
You were
what
wanting
get.
something warm, weren't you?
No, this is what you get right there. There's your sickle right there.
Oh, now he's found it. Aries, Artemis, and Orion are cougars that we often refer to as the cubs, but they're 11 years old. The reason that we call them that is because they came here as cubs, which is really unusual. Most cats don't end up in need of rescue until they're adults, because unfortunately they are used and exploited when they're little and cute and cuddly, and then as soon as they can't be handled any longer, that's when they end up being dumped into pet homes. And then about a year later, when they're full grown, people dump them because they can't deal with them.
Are we live yet?
Yeah, we're
Oh,
live.
okay. All right.
And so in their case, a hunter shot the mom and decided he was going to try and make pets out of them. Hi, Artemis. Oh dear. Yeah, they don't make good pets, as you can see from Artemis here. It's okay.
Well, maybe do Orion. He's licking on his. Come here, baby.
And this is the third one, Orion. So the fellow who shot their mom decided he was going to make them into pets, and his brother turned him in. This was in Idaho. And when they turned him in, they sent the cubs to a rehabber, but they don't allow cougars. Okay, are we back?
Are you back now? Can you see it? Okay, he's back.
All right, sorry about that. Unfortunately, people keep texting and calling while I'm trying to do this, and it keeps blanking my screen out so I can't see what's happening. So they sent the cubs to a rehabber, and then they told her a few weeks later, you know, you're either going to have to send those cats to a zoo or you're going to have to kill them because they can't be released back to the wild. They're afraid that, being the large carnivores that they are, if they got too imprinted on people, that they might hurt somebody out hunting in the woods. And so for the first time ever, we worked with the state government to have them come to a sanctuary instead of a zoo, because we won't be breeding them for more cats in cages. So these guys are all spayed and neutered, and they still live together all these years later. They still like each other, which is kind of unusual. Usually by the time they're adults, they don't want anything to do with each other. But we do have to separate them when they're being fed or when they're getting treats. Like you just saw, Gail had to separate these guys so that they could have their treats. Were you on that trip, Gail?
No, that was Jamie and Scott. They went out and brought them back in a carrier on Southwest.
So I was going to get your first-hand report on that.
Yeah, no. I think I was just like a yellow shirt or something when they went out and did that, and that was strictly Jamie and Scott went out and did that.
Do you want to tell people why they're getting sickles? Come over closer where they can hear you.
Oh, okay.
So this is Gail. She's our operations manager.
I'm the one handing out the treats. We give the cats sickles. Well, these guys are getting sickles just because they're getting sickles, but we started doing blood sickles as treats in the summer when it's so hot. And it's a good source of liquid for cats that in captivity, when they live long past their normal span of lifetime, they end up, a lot of them, with kidney disease. And when you have kidney disease, the best thing you need to do is stay hydrated and drink a lot of fluids. And if they won't drink a lot of water, they'll usually lick on a blood sickle. So it's a good way to get them to intake some fluids.
And what is the sickle made out of?
It's the drain off blood from the beef that we serve them for their diet. So when we open a bag of fresh beef, there's a lot of blood in the bottom of the bag. So we freeze that blood and mix it with purified water, and it makes a blood sickle. We do that also with sardines and tuna fish.
I love the ones with the minnows in them.
And minnows for the little cats.
About how many pounds of food do you thaw out each day?
Oh, let's see, each day.
You getting brain freeze there?
Yeah, probably. I think it's like 500 to 700 pounds of food a day, maybe more. I haven't added it up since we increased all the diets with the cold weather.
Is that it?
He's like, I'm done.
Are you done?
He's like, I'm done.
Your brother's done too.
All right, so let me open some doors back up here.
So Gail's going to open the doors back to let them back into the enclosures with each other. People often ask about the size of these cages, and they're about 1,200 square feet each, and they have 3 of those, so about 3,600 between the 3 enclosures that are all hooked together here with these doors. If you are interested in what our cages are like, you can go to bigcatrescue.org/cages. And if you're interested in volunteering, all of our animal care is done by volunteers. I know it says staff on the back of Gail's shirt, but it's because all of our volunteers are busy right now. So she had to come out and hand out the sickles.
I'm sorry, how old which cougar was?
Well, they're all the same age. They're 11.
I'm not following what you mean by the last cougar. These 3 are all siblings. They were born in the same litter. So they're all 11.
So I don't know if you guys could hear, but she was just saying these guys are 11 years old. Did you have
They were born in 05.
So they're 12 this year?
So maybe they're, so 15 they would have been 10, so 11, 12. So 12, so yeah, I think they're 12 this year. Too many cats, I have to look at the signs.
I always have to look at the signs.
Hey, you, what are you doing?
It's funny, we tend to remember how old they were when they arrived, and then every year they just keep getting older, but we don't continue to do that math in our heads. So that's why they're still called the Cubs to everybody here, because that's how they were when they came.
Well, actually, technically, cougars are not cubs, they're kittens.
Well, that's true.
Because they're a lesser cat, not a greater cat. Greater
I get
cats
called
are
on that all the
cubs,
time.
and lesser cats are called kittens. So technically, they were kittens when they came.
Wow.
Yeah, your sickle's right there. There's nothing
purring,
in this
purring?
bucket. There's nothing in this bucket, silly boy.
Cougars are also the largest cat that can purr. You have a very large purr. Yes, you do.
They can have anywhere from 1 to 3 to 4, but 4 might be pushing it a little bit. Usually 2-ish.
You need to speak in full sentences so people know what you're talking about. They
Well,
can't hear you
okay.
talking on the phone.
Well, I was what I said. They were asking, is it unusual for a cougar to have 3 cubs? And I guess it's not necessarily unusual, but
2 would be about all that live.
2 would probably be the best chance for them to really survive in the wild.
And Orion would probably not have survived in the wild. He was a little on the dull side of the 3.
Orion?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he's the one that's always got that dopey look on his face. He was the one
But
the guy
he-
threw out of the
I know,
truck.
but he's very food aggressive.
Well,
Yeah, I would think Artemis, she's the most shy out of all of them, but Aries, there'd been no doubt he'd have survived. Yeah, big boy. There's no doubt you'd survive.
and when I said the guy threw him out of the truck, what had happened was when he took the 3 cubs from the mom, one of the cubs just kept screaming and screaming, and so he threw it out alongside the road, and a farmer ended up taking the cat in, and it was just by coincidence that they all ended up at the same rehabber before they ended up coming here. But if you're just joining us, they can't be rehabbed and released back to the wild in Idaho, so that was why they ended up in a cage for the rest of their lives. We do wild bobcat rehab and release. In fact, we just cleared a release site today for a bobcat named Wyeth, so she's going to be released very soon. But you can only release cats who were actually born in the wild. So there are 75 other cats here at the sanctuary that were born in cages and cannot be released, and so they'll have to spend the rest of their life in captivity, unfortunately. And because these guys were from, is it Idaho or Iowa? I always get it wrong. I think it's Idaho.
Yes, because
Since they were from Idaho, they can't be released in Florida. So even though we have the capacity to rehab animals for release here, we can't send them out to Florida. And because they would have been raised here, they wouldn't be allowed to go back to Idaho, and Idaho doesn't allow it with the bigger cats anyway. So it was really a very unfortunate thing. There's a tiger in the background. Hi, Priya.
So we want to go do Jaden Armani and Jinx.
Are you asking him or me? Oh, I'm fine to follow
Whoever,
you
we're
wherever you
gonna
want to
yeah,
go.
we need to go do Jaden Armani and Jinx. I put the Sicles on your card because there's less
You want to drive?
crap. I'm sorry.
No, maybe you don't want to drive. You press the pedal, I'll drive.
The average lifespan for cougars in the wild are
About 10 or 12.
10 or 12 years.
And the same is true in captivity in most places, but here they live into their late teens and early 20s. We actually have one cougar that lived to be a month shy of 30, which was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I was hit that. Yeah, he was stayed pretty. He was here a long time. Squeaker, not squeaker.
Scratch.
Scratch. Too many S's.
There are a lot of cats with S's.
Squeaker, Scratch, Sylvester.
Sly. I guess that was Sylvester the Sly. The cats that we're going to go do now are leopards. And Gail said it's going to be Jade, Armani, and Jinx. Oh, it's time, girls! You're going to love it.
All right, let's see. Where are the girls?
So Gail's got to close these guys off from each other.
All right, let me get them separated.
Row. Is that what you said? You said row? Row. Row. Are you ready for yours? It's gonna be good. It's gonna be cold, but it's gonna be good.
Are you ready, baby? Are you ready?
Excuse me. Did not mean to intrude.
That is Armani.
Trying to give you a look here without the bars, but I can't stick the phone in too far or she's going to grab it from me.
Jade and Armani were born in 1997. They're asking how old Jade and Armani are and what's their story.
They're going to be 20 years old this year, and they came here from a breeder in South Florida. And back in the 90s, we didn't know any better. My late husband and I thought that some of these cats, being leopards, that these were rare and endangered species that should be bred for future generations. And so he had gone over there and purchased these guys from a backyard breeder, thinking that we would breed them, and I don't think we ever did. These guys have never had cubs.
To the best of my knowledge, you haven't ever bred them.
Yeah. We stopped breeding in 1997, so we only bred cats from 94 to 97. But once we learned that none of them can ever go free and none of them serve any kind of conservation value because they're all crossbred and inbred and their genetics are not pure, there's just no reason to be breeding them for life in a cage. So unfortunately, that was a part of our history that is embarrassing, but it's sadly how we started. And now we are the world's leading advocates against the practice of breeding cats for life in cages. And our federal bill that will ban the private possession and breeding of big cats is due to be reintroduced into Congress this week. In fact, I just got through meeting with our director, our director of outreach and our director of research about a very cool tool that we are going to be using. It's going to cost us $2,000 a month, which is just crazy expensive, but it's a really good way so that we'll be able to call out to you and say, text this word to this number, and it'll automatically hook you up to your legislators. So that's going to be really excellent, and I think we're going to get that bill passed this year.
What she's eating? They want to know what she's eating.
You tell them.
Well, you're closer to the camera. Jade is eating a blood sickle. It's the blood that's drained off from the beef that we feed them as part of their normal diet. And we freeze it and mix it with some water and then freeze it so that they can get some tasty treats.
Listen to you slurping.
And it was like biting a sucker. I don't know why you would want, why they always want to bite it, because it's so cold.
Maybe there's a gooey middle they're expecting.
I don't know.
Isn't that
Like
how
a
the
Tootsie
commercial
Roll?
went? Yeah.
It's like a Tootsie Roll. There's a gooey middle in the center.
What can you tell them about from your experience working with leopards?
They are sneaky.
I think they're the smartest of the cats. What do you think?
They're pretty smart. I think most of all of our leopards, when we do operant, are probably the best at doing the operant training.
Can you tell everybody what operant conditioning is?
Operant conditioning is a program that we have where we try to encourage them to do natural behaviors. We don't train any unusual behaviors. We just use their own natural behaviors to best utilize their behaviors for things to help us do with their health checks and for the vet, like just laying down, just where the way she is right now would be a down. They sit automatically, so training them to sit on command. We had a couple of leopards that we actually trained to open their mouth for us. Like, so when they would yawn and stuff like that, we would do the open mouth command and say open and then try to give them a treat. So after a while, they would go, oh, hey, look, if when I yawn and open my mouth, I get a treat.
And why would you want them to yawn?
So that we could look in their mouth and look at their teeth. We get a lot of cats that chew on sticks and stuff like that, and they'll get them stuck in their mouth, and that way we can, we can get them to open their mouth, we can actually look, get a good look inside their mouth to see if there's anything we need to do.
Are they always reliable when you only use rewards as training?
Nope, not always. I'm sorry? Okay. Well, we've got, he said he needs to start wrapping up. So we've got one more black leopard we could go give a sickle to if you want to do that and then be done. Okay, let's go do Jinx. And then he said he's going to be done.
Okay. It's treat time, Jinx. You're gonna love it. Where are you? Are you in there?
Where's the sneaky leopard?
Is there a leopard in there?
Where's the sneaky leopard? Is there a leopard in there? I see a black tail. Do I see an eyeball? Ooh, I see a little eyeball in here. Jinx, Jinx. Jinx, Jinx. Come on.
Kind of walk away, he'll usually come flying out.
Jinx.
Oh, this is a perfect example how operant conditioning does not always work. What we wanted the cat to do was come out for the camera, but he's not having it. And the difference between training them for a circus act or training them for the kind of operant conditioning we do is if the cat doesn't want to do it, they don't have to do it. And where you see a cat performing and the show must go on, then they're using much, much worse ways of training those cats behind the scenes. So please never, ever support any kind of show or circus that uses these animals in performing acts. She's trying to push it over closer to him. See if maybe he can at least poke his head out of the den for it once he sees it's something good.
Using a really long stick.
Yeah, he's got some claws.
He's right there in the opening if you want to.
Oh yeah, send me up there.
He's
Hi.
black. I don't know if you can see him,
I see those black eyes. You don't know about this, huh? Such a strange looking camera. There it is. Oh, it's going to be so good. That's all I can see. Let's see if I can zoom in because I can't get any closer to him.
Sneaking out.
Come on, Jinkies. Come on, Jinkies. Come on, buddy. Get your
Love
treat.
those emerald eyes. My
Get
goodness.
those treats. Get your
So
treat.
gorgeous.
He's so suspicious.
Well, I think there's a tour coming up behind us too. I hear people back there.
Oh, that's Jamie and Afton.
Come on. Jinkies. Come on.
wants it because you see how he's drooling. He's like, man, I really want this treat, but there's people there. Keeping me from my treat.
Well, the good news is it's not going to melt while we're sitting here.
Yeah.
Here it is. Got pollen all over your ears. Yeah, he'll be happy when I walk away. Well, thank you very much. All right, bye-bye.